for waging a battle of diplomacy, but for embarking on his mission of asserting the right of the Indian people to be masters of their destiny and cultivating friendship with the world. Accompanying Gandhi were two fellow delegates, Sarojini Naidu and Madan Mohan Malaviya. At noon on August 29th, the Rajputana steamed out. Jawaharlal Nehru watched the ship that carried the sole representative of 1/5 of the human race to the Arabian Sea and the far west. Gandhi was in the best of spirits during the voyage. Riding the pitching seas like a veteran mariner, he selected for himself a corner on the second-class deck where he spent most of the day and the whole of the night under the canopy of the starlit sky. The quaint traveler carried the scantiest of luggage and scrupulously observed his daily routine on board the ship. After a weary voyage of 1,660 miles, daylight broke over the rock-crested shores of Aden. Gandhi steered the Rajputana into the first port of call. "I hope I do not capsize the boat," he remarked as he turned the wheel. A big welcome awaited Gandhi at Aden. He arrived at the citizens' meeting to receive an address of welcome and a purse. In his first public speech outside the Indian subcontinent since 1914, he declared that India did not stand for isolated independence. 1/5 of the human race becoming free through non-violence and truth can be a great force of service to the whole of mankind. He extolled the simple way of life associated with the Khalifs and told the Arabs to help solve the Hindu-Muslim problem. As the ship was gliding through the Suez, messages of welcome from the Egyptians poured in. On crossing the Egyptian waters, Madame Zaghloul Pasha sent the great leader of Great India her best wishes for the success of the Indian cause. Gandhi had in his loyal secretary Mahadev Desai an assistant who not merely relieved him of much of his routine work, but put his keen intellect and tireless capacity for work at his disposal. Mahadev's devotion to Gandhi was complete, and Gandhi's affection for him deep and unbounded. On the misty, cold morning of September 11th, SS Rajputana anchored at Marseille.
Here he is at last, the mystery man of India. Our first glimpse as the Rajputana came alongside at Marseille. And there's a woman of whom you've probably all read, but never seen in a picture. Miss Madeline Slade, the English daughter of an admiral, who now prefers to be known as Malara Ben. She's one of Mr. Gandhi's most devout disciples. She's leading the way ashore now, and just behind her comes Mr. Gandhi, dressed as he said he would be, in just his loincloth, even in the chilly climes of Europe. And he's carrying with him his pots and pans, which he declared at the customs. He was trotted around Marseille to several receptions and made one or two speeches which rather frightened the French authorities. But when asked to speak into the sound film microphone, he said, "I think not." And so we go on our way to England. Well, here we are at Folkestone, with the Biarritz coming alongside, and as Gandhi said, in proper English weather, pouring rain and bitterly cold. Miss Slade was the first ashore to tend to the luggage, that is, the goat's milk, etc. She was followed by Gandhi's son, and then came the little man, still scantily clad, but with an extremely wet blanket around his tiny frame. I'm sure he must have been frozen. We were in thick overcoats. He picked his way through the puddles along the quay side, and he was wearing sandals, by the way, to the waiting motor car, for he decided that he'd rather go up to London by road. He insisted on sitting up in the front seat with the driver. He said that he could see better that way. So he tucked himself in, and so off to London, whilst his followers went by the boat train. In town, quite a lot of people had waited in the pouring rain outside the Friends Meeting House on the Euston Road to see what he really looked like. But at first they were quite disappointed, because he went in the back way. But shortly afterwards he left by the front way. And then they really did see quite a lot of him, even his knees. No, he won't speak into the microphone. And so to his poplar home, where we leave this bizarre little man, whose coming has caused so much comment, complete with loincloth, spinning wheel and goat's milk, feeling sure that he cannot complain of his reception or the publicity he has received, from which, by the way, we always understood that he shrank.
Whatever the result of the mission that brought me to London, I know that I shall carry with me the pleasantest memories of my stay in the midst of the poor people of East London.
The members of every section of Bow assembled outside Kingsley Hall to welcome Gandhi. The Pearly King, accompanied by his son and daughter, came to pay respects to the distinguished visitor in his domain. Gandhi greeted the costermonger royalties, who offered him their best oranges.
Take the orange, yes. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I take only one, I take two. Kill.
सात समंदर पार करके सत्य और अहिंसा की ज्योत जगाने बापूजी सेकंड राउंड टेबल कॉन्फ्रेंस में हिस्सा लेने लंदन आ पहुंचे। हजारों सरकारी अफसर और बेशुमार बरतानवी लोग जंगे आजादी के इस बेखौफ लंगोटी वाले नेता के स्वागत में उछल पड़े। मैनचेस्टर के सरमायादार बापूजी को अपने साथ कारखानों में ले चले। बापूजी वो कारखाने देख रहे हैं जिन्होंने स्वदेशी चरखों की अजमत को मान लिया। इनके साथ हैं महादेव देसाई और श्रीमती मीरा बहन। हिंदुस्तान की आत्मा अंग्रेजों से हाथ मिलाकर काले गोरे के भेदभाव को दूर कर रही है। कारखानेदार महात्मा गांधी से अपने मजदूरों के अच्छे हालात बयान कर रहे हैं और महात्मा जी शायद आजाद और गुलाम मजदूर का फर्क महसूस कर रहे हैं। ब्रिटिश साम्राज्य ने अहिंसा और सत्याग्रह को सलाम किया। ये है मशहूर मारूफ मिस्टर सिडनी वेब, अपनी पत्नी के साथ। और ये है मिलन दो अमर हस्तियों का, सिनेमा जगत के हर दिल अजीज चार्ली चैपलिन और अहिंसा तथा सत्य के पुजारी बापू का। इनके रास्ते अलग अलग क्यों न हो, पर आदर्श एक ही है। ब्रिटानिया के शहंशाह जॉर्ज V की मुलाकात के लिए करोड़ों इंसानों के तर्जमान, दिलों के बादशाह महात्मा गांधी देवी सरोजनी नायडू के साथ बकिंगम पैलेस में पधार रहे हैं। जिस सेकंड राउंड टेबल कॉन्फ्रेंस के लिए बापूजी आए, उसके मुख्तलिफ डेलीगेट्स सर प्रभाशंकर पटनी, सर A.B. पेट्रो, सर अकबर हैदरी और पंडित मदन।
The view of His Majesty's government is that responsibility for the government of India should be placed upon legislatures, central and provincial, with such provisions as may be necessary to guarantee during a period of transition the observance of certain obligations and to meet other special circumstances, and also with such guarantees as are required by minorities to protect their political liberties and rights. In such statutory safeguards as may be made for meeting the needs of the transitional period, it will be a primary concern of His Majesty's government to see that the reserved powers are so framed and exercised as not to prejudice the advance of India through the new constitution to full responsibility for our own government. His Majesty's government, whilst making this declaration, is aware that some of the conditions which are essential to the working of such a constitution contemplated have not been finally settled. But it believes that as the result of the work done here, they have been brought to a point which encourages the hope that further negotiations after this declaration will be successful. And now, my friends, we go our various ways. Our 10 weeks of valuable cooperation and pleasant companionship and friendship are ended. And finally, I hope, and I trust and I pray, that by our labors together, India will possess the only thing which she now lacks, to give her the status of a dominion amongst the British Commonwealth of Nations. What she now lacks for that, the responsibility and the care, the burdens and the difficulties, but the pride
and the honor of responsible self-government.
Well done.
Prime Minister, your momentous and historic words are ringing in my ears, and your message to my motherland, worded as it has been in such wise and gracious language, has so deeply touched my heart that words fail to express my feelings. I congratulate you, sir, the members of your government, as well as the members of the two great political parties in England, on your wise decision and bold statesmanship. Your name, sir, will not only be written in letters of gold, but will go down to history as the name of one who knew how to combine statesmanship with wisdom and friendship.
Before saying that I leave the chair for the last time, which I'm very sorry really to do, I must communicate to you the reply which His Majesty has sent to the message you directed me to send to him this forenoon. I have received with much pleasure the loyal message which the chairman of your conference has conveyed to me on your behalf. The time has now come for me to bid you Godspeed on the conclusion of your deliberations, which I inaugurated some 9 weeks ago. I have followed your proceedings with the closest interest and have been impressed with the dignity and earnestness with which they have been conducted, and with the unity of aim which has inspired them. It was not to be expected that in 9 short weeks, however close and intensive the labor that was crowded into them, and I know full well how exacting your labors have been, a clear-cut and final solution of the vast problems which confronted you should be found. But I am persuaded that great as is the volume of patient thought and careful work still to be done, you have opened a new chapter in the history of India. I am sure that you will, one and all, strive to secure the aid of your countrymen in carrying on the task in the same spirit that has marked your discussions. And I hopefully look forward to an outcome which will restore peace and contentment throughout India. Signed by his own hand, George R.I. The last time, the conference is adjourned.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we go, I suggest 3 cheers for King Emperor.
Goodbye.
God bless you.
Thank you so much for the help you've given us and the nice things you said about
And
it.
I say,
Goodbye.
yes, I'm leaving it on.
Very pleasant.
Thank you very much. Come now, say goodbye. Very much for all this.
महात्मा गांधी बरतानवी सरकार के कानूनी और समाजी हलकों में अहिंसावाद का विजय नाद बजाते हुए स्वदेश लौटे। किस कदर बेताब होता है मुलाकात का शौक, देश के बड़े बड़े नेता जनता के साथ मिलकर बापूजी का निहायत धूमधाम से स्वागत कर रहे हैं। झंडा ऊंचा रहे हमारा के उमंग भरे स्वर सारे देश में गूंज उठे, जिसमें देश की वीर नारियों ने भी बड़े जोश के साथ भाग लिया। ये है हमारी लोकप्रिय नेत्री मिसिस पेरिन बहन कैप्टन, कमला देवी चट्टोपाध्याय, श्रीमती सोफिया सोमजी, मौलाना अब्दुल कलाम आजाद, डॉक्टर अंसारी, लोकनायक अने, इंदिरा नेहरू के साथ महात्मा गांधी विजय की मुस्कान ओठों पे लिए जहाज से नीचे उतरे। जनता के दिलों में देशभक्ति की लहरें मचल उठी। क्या पुरुष, क्या स्त्री, क्या बूढ़े, क्या बच्चे, सभी बड़े उत्साह से कंधा मिलाकर महात्मा गांधी के स्वागत में भाग ले रहे हैं। भीड़ में से रास्ता बनाते हुए सरदार वल्लभ भाई पटेल गांधी जी को बंदरगाह के बाहर ले जा रहे हैं। उनके दर्शन के लिए बंबई की जनता किस उमंग से झूम रही है। तूफानी लहरों की तरह ये इंसानी समंदर महात्मा गांधी के पीछे उनकी जय जयकार के नारे लगाते हुए उनके दर्शन के लिए मचल रहा है। उस शक्ति का दर्शन करने जिसने अहिंसा के सहारे उस साम्राज्य को नीचा दिखा दिया जिसकी सीमाओं में सूरज कभी ना अस्त होता था। मणि भवन में महात्मा गांधी अपने श्रद्धालु देशभक्तों को सलाम का जवाब दे रहे हैं। बापूजी की स्वदेश वापसी पर आजाद मैदान की महान सभा। इतनी भीड़ भाड़ आज तक किसी सभा में नहीं हुई। लाखों आदमी खादी के सफेद कपड़ों में गांधी जी का उपदेश सुनने के लिए बेताब हैं। गांधी जी की जय जयकार से आजाद मैदान का कोना कोना गूंज उठा। वीर नरीमान की लोगों को शांत करने की सभी कोशिशें नाकाम हो गईं। लीजिए, शरद चंद्र बोस भी आ गए और इधर बापूजी का भाषण भी शुरू होने लगा। बापूजी के हिंदू मुस्लिम एकता के प्रभावी विचार सुनकर लोग मंत्रमुग्ध हो गए। गांधी जी ब्रिटानिया और भारतवासियों के दिल जीतकर अपने घर वर्धा आश्रम में वापस आ रहे हैं। गांधी जी अपने शिष्यों के साथ सुबह की सैर को जा रहे हैं। इनके कदमों की चाल इनके कर्मों की रफ्तार से किसी तरह कम नहीं। सच तो ये है, वतन की मोहब्बत जवां हो गई है, जवानी इसी प्यार में खो गई है।